for the last few days. But as a result of him just getting back, then he has a lot to catch up on. So I'm going to be here today. We're going to be diving in and talking about audience insights today. And audience insights is an incredible way to discover your audience. First of all, discover your audience, but then also allow you to find new audiences for your business. This is extremely beneficial when it comes to our conversation a few weeks ago to target marketing. This can be a good place to just discover more about your audience. So the three things that we are going to highlight today are: number one, how to discover your existing audience; number two, how to discover a new audience; and number three, how to learn about an audience. In discovering your existing audience, then many business owners, they have an existing audience. They've been in business for years and years and years, but just due to lack of technology or just due to lack of infrastructure, then maybe they didn't know as much about their existing audience as maybe they would have liked. And so we're going to dive in and talk about that, so that then if you know a lot about your existing audience, it's very reasonable to assume that you would be able to get out and learn more about to expand that audience to new people. Or for the new business owner that's just getting started and needs to discover a new audience, they have a few assumptions about their target audience, but they need to discover more information about those people. Again, we say this, it seems like we're saying it every week, but Facebook knows a creepily large amount of information about each of us. And so as marketers, if we can tap into that, then we win ultimately. And then lastly, how to learn more about an audience. The more you can learn about an audience, then the more you can change the messaging. You can specifically target your messaging to relate to a certain person. So let's go ahead and dive in right onto the screen share. And see what we can learn today. And as we go along, feel free to type in the chat, and we will help you out with that. We'll help you out with your questions. We'll talk specifically to your businesses and try to make this the most beneficial it can be. All right, so here we are on Audience Insights. Now let me take a step back and show you how you can get to Audience Insights. So if you are in Ads Manager, then you can click up in this top left. Maybe once Ads Manager loads. While this is loading, have any of you used the Audience Insights tab before? I think it's from what I've seen and from people that I've talked to, I think it's really an underutilized tool. Chelsea has used Audience Insights though, so fantastic. So if you're in Ads Manager for your business or for your personal account, you can click on the top left where those three little horizontal lines are, which is where you pretty much get to everything. And let it come up with a drop down, maybe. And then come down here to All Tools and come over here to Plan, Audience Insights. All right, and when you first come on to the page, then it gives you this option, choose an audience to start. So this is the audience that you're going to learn about. We're going to start with talking about how to discover your existing audience. Now this step is going to be for a little bit more established business that either has a large Facebook following or somebody that has a large customer list. So let's start with a custom audience. We talked about uploading your custom audience a few weeks ago. And so we have a custom audience in here, a customer list for a client that we've worked with. And so these are people that are active customers in that business. And so we can start to dive in and learn a lot about these people. This is if you have a customer list specifically, or if you have, if you have website traffic or different custom audiences that you have about your current audience, then you can put those in here in this custom audience tab. And then let's just scan through some of the overall details. Nothing too specific, but we can see 59% are women, 41% are men. So fairly equal, nothing too crazy. The largest percentage is in this 35 to 44 age range, and that's a little bit higher, the gray. So you can see the blue is our audience that we're looking at, and then the gray is just the overall Facebook audience. So you can see that our audience is a little bit more skewed towards this 35 to 44-year-old than the average Facebook audience. And then we have these lifestyle things. And so this lifestyle is just kind of a way that Facebook has characterized people. Sometimes I get a kick out of some of the names that they come up with. But so we have working and active. And if you want to see what that means, then there is I keep changing the order. There's this little eye that you can hover over. So if you want to see what does active and involved mean, and it says active and involved represents financially secure couples nearing retirement. They're empty nester homeowners. They're living in outer suburbs and towns, enjoying a luxurious lifestyle. I changed this back to sorting that way. Welcome, Veronica. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, just hover over these things and you can learn about this. And again, this is compared to the overall Facebook audience, again, is the gray, compared to our audience. So 1% of Facebook users are working and active, consider this working and active. 2% of our selected audience is working and active. If we change it to this, then our biggest section here is firmly established. So firmly established households are upper middle class couples with school-age children. They are homeowners, often minivan drivers, and avid radio listeners. Again, how do they decide that person is firmly established? To characterize it that way, I don't know. That's why I kind of get a kick out of these things sometimes. And none of these are too funny. There's some pretty funny ones. Go down at relationship status, education level. So more of our customers, they're more likely to be married than the average Facebook user. 70% of our audience is married. Job title, our biggest portion here is management. So this, as you can see, this kind of all goes together because we're back here on the lifestyle, we're firmly established, which talked about minivans and kids and marriage. So then they're mostly married. And then they're firmly established in a job, so they're in management administrative services. Most, that's the biggest percentage of them. So that is some basic stuff, and then you have a lot more tabs. So you have page likes, so you can start to see what types of page likes are they liking. So they like this page called HEB. Sometimes what I do if I'm not sure what the page is I go to the page. Indianapolis Colts, J.J. Watt, Your Nation. Just different stuff that they like there. You can look at location. So we can see where are our top cities. A lot of them are in Indianapolis, Houston, just a bunch of different cities in Texas, California, Michigan, Nevada, Texas, more in Texas. So probably looking through that real quick, there's the biggest location in Texas. And then activity. So these are different things that they are doing on social media. So pages liked. There's not a whole lot of pages liked there, only one. Comments in the last 30 days, they've left 12 comments on average. They've left liked an average of 15 posts, different stuff there. You can kind of start to get an idea of what type of stuff are they going to engage with. Are they more likely to comment? Are they more likely to like? And then device users. This is thrown off a little bit, I can tell, because they're saying that it's desktop only. I've never seen that in a single audience. And if we looked into it more, then it would be desktop and mobile, majority of them. So for whatever reason, this audience, probably because it's a customer list, is a little bit thrown off because it's not showing that they are on desktop and mobile. But iPhone and iPod, Android, big area there. And then household, a few things you can look at. You can look at their income level. So you can see that our audience is more likely to be between 50,000 and 150,000 than the average Facebook user. That's where they're high on, in that 50 to 150,000. Household size, it looks like they're more likely to have a couple kids. Home market value, it's going to be this less than 100 up to 200,000, where they're more likely to be. Once they get into the 200 to 500 and over $500,000 home value, not quite as likely as the average Facebook user, but there still is a portion of our audience there. There's a big portion of our audience still in this $200 to $500,000 range. And then a little bit about their spending methods. That's kind of interesting. I don't think I've normally seen this, but they are primarily cash. It's kind of 50-50 between primarily cash and primarily credit card on our audience. I'm surprised that it's that close on this specific audience. And then purchase, you get a little bit of detail about purchase behavior. Subscription services, they're more likely to enjoy subscription services than your average Facebook user, which kind of makes sense because this customer is a subscription basis security company. And then in market for a vehicle, talks about the vehicle a little bit. And retail spending. So those are just some things. Again, you can dive into this as deep as you want. I want to show the tool, and I want to go through it a little bit and show all of the different ways to use it. But literally, you can come in here, and once you have the audience uploaded, you can spend hours looking through this information and changing it and tweaking it to learn more and more about your audience. So again, this is with a custom audience. So if you have, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, if you have a customer list, if you've uploaded your customer list as a custom audience, then you can look at those people. If you have website traffic, let me see if in this ad account we have any big enough. So in this ad account, we don't have any big enough website traffic. This is what it'll show if your audience isn't big enough. It just kind of grays everything out. Facebook is worried that when the audience is smaller than 1,000, or when it's smaller than a couple thousand, they don't want to show you the data because they think you're going to be able to find those people or something. And it's just not statistically significant. So different custom audiences you can put in here. But let's say maybe you haven't been collecting customer data, but you have been building a big Facebook page. You have a pretty good sized Facebook page. So you can come here and you can type in down here, people connected to your page, and you can select your page. You could even select a couple pages. If there's a couple pages that were relevant to the same information or to the same type of customer, then you could put a couple pages in here. You could also exclude some pages. So you could say people not connected to this specific page. If you wanted to exclude those people. If you have two pages where some of the people might overlap and you just want to exclude one of the pages. So on this page, same type of things. You can get a lot of data. You can see here, that last audience I didn't point out was 39,000. This audience is 17,000, just over 17,000. So a pretty good sample size to get some data about your followers on social media. More than you can find in just the audience insights, or more than the insights tab on your Facebook page. You can find out a lot more here. So 6% women, 94% men. Lifestyle, rural adventure, mid to late 30s and live in rural towns. Though on average, they earn low to middle incomes, but are below average for net worth. Firmly established showed up again. So this audience, there's no strong thing. The biggest area is only 12% of the one audience and lifestyle. Again, relationship status, you can look at all of the same information, no matter what source the audience comes from. You might be limited sometimes based on just the size of the audience. You might be able to see the information on this tab if you have a pretty good size audience, but not on a different tab if it's still not big enough. So you'll have to keep that in mind. But just look through these tabs and you'll be able to see a lot of different information about your audience. So that is how to discover a new audience. How to discover your existing audience. If you already have a Facebook page or built up, or if you already have, if you have a custom audience that you can reference, and that's how you're going to learn more about your existing audience. But what if you need to discover a new audience? So let's take, we're going to use Gray Blackwell as an example. And we're going to discover a new audience. Now, Gray, I've just blanked on where you are. You're in North Carolina. So we're going to just start typing in some information assumed about our audience. So we're going to type in North. He's in Durham, North Carolina, I believe, but we're going to do all of North Carolina right now, just to make sure the audience is big enough. So we've just typed in North Carolina. Now we're at 6 to 7 million people. His audience is going to be a little bit younger. So we're going to go 18 to 50. And then you could type in an interest here. So if you wanted to do it in an interest base, then you could do it here. This is not relevant to Gray's audience, but if you just wanted to type in an interest to see about that in North Carolina golf, 400 to 500,000 people. And then again, you can look through all of that same information. But for Gray specifically, Gray has an awesome haunted maze out in North Carolina. We're going to come to advanced. And we are going to do parents. We're going to do children. He has a daytime maze and a haunted maze. So we're going to do parents with children between the ages of 8 and 26. We'll actually come down to 6. The ages of between 6 and 26. And then you can do this for different segments of your audience because Gray does have different segments of the audience. So now we can discover new things about our audience. All we've told Facebook so far is that we want people in North Carolina that are parents with a child between the ages of 6 all the way up to 26 years old. Let's actually take off 18 to 26 because 18 to 26-year-olds are probably going to be coming on their own. That's going to be a different subset of the audience. So there's 350,000 to 400,000 monthly active people that fit into this category. 63% of them are women. The biggest age demographic here, far majority, is the 35 to 44-year-old, which makes sense because of a 6-year-old, you've got to be a decent age. And then information about their audience. 13% of them are active lifestyle, contains established couples with teenage kids, minivans, and mortgages. Good to know that they have mortgages. So lots of information here. But to get more specific, you can come down and look at job titles, because then you can target people based on job titles. If you know that a good chunk of your audience has a certain category of job titles, then you can make specific ads targeting those people. And then you can write specific language to relate to those people. So if you know that they're in administrative services, you know that they're probably between the hours of 8 and 5, they're probably going to be at a desk, at a computer. You can make certain decisions based on your ads, based around knowing that. And then another thing that I like to do is look at page likes when we're trying to discover a new audience. So the biggest one is going to be, the biggest ones are going to be Lazy 5 Ranch, North Carolina Zoo, North Carolina State Fair, WITN-TV, that must be the local TV station, and the Ace and TJ show. So this is, these are some pages that you can target. And so let's say you don't want to target based on demographics. You want to test something. You want to test a couple different audiences. So you first have this audience of North Carolina parents of children between the ages of 6 and 18. But then you want to try to reach those same people a different way. And so you're going to just drop down. I want to target people who in North Carolina who are interested in Lazy Five Ranch, North Carolina Zoo, North Carolina State Fair, WINTN show, TV show. Because they're pretty likely to be in our audience, but they're not perfectly likely. So we will be able to branch out just a little bit and be able to get a larger audience. Because I'm guessing if we type those in as interests, it's going to be a little bit bigger audience than the 350,000 that we're looking at. We can also look at household income. So these people are more likely to be in that 30 to 75 range. Biggest demographic though, biggest percentage of that, about a quarter of them are likely to be in that $50,000 to $75,000 range. And so in the case of Gray, then his business does take a little bit of disposable income. So they have to be able to have a little bit of income to come out and have some fun. And so at 50 to 75 of the majority of them, then they're probably able to. You can look household size, how it's likely to be a little bit bigger size. So another idea here is you might be able to put together different bundles of tickets out to the corn maze, tickets out to the haunted maze. You bring this many people and you get a discount because they're more likely to have 3 to 6 household size. And this is number of adults and children. So starting at one child up to 4 children. I guess depending on if it's a single parent or not. So again, you can type in just a couple assumptions about your audience and then discover a whole load of new things about them. You can even look at their location. Obviously, they're going to be in North Carolina, but you can see where the biggest ones are. So the biggest majority of them are in Charlotte. I guess you probably already knew that because Charlotte's probably the biggest city. All sorts of information about discovering your new audience. And then what you can do is, like I said, write down some of those things and discover even more about your audience. So let's uncheck these things and type in that Lazy Five Ranch. Sometimes this lets you do it in Audience Insights. In this case, it's not letting us. If you go back to the Audiences tab, then you would be able to create an audience based around that Lazy Five Ranch most likely. So that is discovering more about a new audience. Let's do another example there just to learn more about an audience. Veronica is on here, and I know that her audience is most likely going to be business owners. So let's do something. Let's see if we can grab it based on behaviors. And so sometimes with these, then in the Audiences tab, if you were here a couple weeks ago, then I usually just start typing something in. But in this case, then we're just going to we're going to look at a few different areas. So we're going to be looking for ways to get into the business owner category. So let's look at purchase behavior, business purchases. So so far we've added people that are likely to purchase or have a behavior of purchasing business marketing things, which is pretty relevant to Veronica's business and our business for that matter. We can also look at digital activities, see if any of those are relevant. Small business owners, there's another one. So digital activities, small business owners. So for whatever reason, then there's people that have, as a result of their digital activities, they've been classified as a small business owner. And purchase behavior, see if there's anything else here. Purchase types, home office. So now we've put in a little bit of information about this person based on behaviors. Small business owners, business marketing, and home office are some type of behaviors. And again, you can dive in here and look at all of the types of things that they're looking at. We have done an audience in this way, looking at the page likes, putting in some of these things and looking at the page likes and having some fantastic results. In this specific example, these things that I put in, these ones aren't necessarily relevant. But at the same time, you can make your ad copy relevant to something about the office. Relate your business services, whatever business services you have, to the office, and you'll have a little bit of information there. Any questions before we wrap up while I'm still on Audience Insights? We're going to wrap up here in just a couple minutes, so I want to check that we don't have any questions before we move on. All right. So as far as what you can do today to wrap up is just dive in and explore your audience using Audience Insights. Like I said, you can spend hours upon hours looking through all of that data. What I wanted to show today is all of the different ways that you can get in there to discover your existing audience, if you have an existing audience, or explore a new audience, or learn more about an audience that you have put in there. So get in there, put in your audience, or put in your assumptions about your audience, and learn all that you can about your audience, because not only in your Facebook marketing, but as you can learn more about your audience, it's going to help you more in your marketing in general. It's going to help you know the type of networking that maybe you need to do. It's going to help you know maybe the type of businesses that you need to connect with to do co-op marketing. So you help them out, they help you out. Because if you find out that they have a somewhat similar type of business or a somewhat similar type of audience. So dive in there today, explore your audience this week using Audience Insights. And send us a message if you have any questions, or send us a message to see what you found out. See what you found, tell us what you found out, and if you want to check with us to see if it's something good that you found out that you can use, then absolutely reach out to us and let us know. Next week, come back next week, same time, same channel, 11 o'clock on Thursday. We are going to be talking about the Creative Hub. This is a relatively new tool that Facebook has created, but it's a somewhat new tool. I used it like a year ago, so not that new, but they've recently made a lot of updates to it. Using the Creative Hub will allow you to start creating your ads without worrying about spending a dime. It will also allow you to work with a team. If you have a team that's involved in making your marketing material and making your Facebook ads and making your posts or whatever, then you can collaborate with a team through this tool that Facebook has put together. So come back next week, Thursday at 11 o'clock, to learn more about using the Business Manager Creative Hub. And if you find value in this, every week, make sure you invite people. You can invite people to register by going to strategicsocialpartners.com/IM-webinars. I'm going to type that in the chat. Invite people to come out, learn. We just want to provide the most value possible, let you be able to dive in and start to get in and do these things yourself, and show you how to use the tools in the best way possible. So reach out to us if you have any questions, and we will talk to you next week.